Today I have 3 garments to show you. They all come from a romper pattern, easy knit sew, but I'm not showing you a romper at all. I'm showing you other things. So if you're intrigued, please keep watching.
Don't you think this is starting to wear me?
Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina. This is Lifting Pins and Needles, a channel all about sewing, limitless sewing. Welcome to this place that is full of sewing techniques, up close footage, and very practical sewing content that can inspire you, and maybe you can apply things that you see here to similar projects at home. If you think that's cool, go ahead and subscribe. Tap on the bell so you don't miss out when new videos go live. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been involved in a pattern test with Love Notions, and this pattern has been in the works for a long time, I believe, like the preparation stages, and it's a romper pattern. It's called Sunday Romper. And it actually doesn't just have a romper, it has a dress as well. So I'm very happy about that. There seems to be a type of barrier for some people about rompers, and other people absolutely love them and just want to make them all and love wearing them and all that. And I'm in an indecisive camp right now. I've tried a few in the past, last year, and I really try, and it's just not a style I can feel comfortable in. So this pattern doesn't just have a romper, and that's amazing. Common feature for this pattern is that it has either a tank bodice or a Dolman sleeve bodice, and it has a double V neckline. So neckbands, because it is a knit garment, V and V at the back, so double the fun with the V necklines, and I think that's really flattering and very nice to look at. And whatever bodice you choose, either tank or dolman, can go attached to either pants or a skirt. And then there's different length options there: shorts, cropped length, full length pants, a shorter skirt above the knee, or a maxi. So the bodice, either united to the skirt or the pants, is attached with a wider seam allowance, and that becomes a casing where you can either put a drawstring or an elastic. If you do the drawstring, you'd have to make these little buttonholes in the very early stages of the garment project and interface that area to stabilize it before making the buttonholes. In my case, I chose elastic. So, you know, there's something for everyone there. Of course, there was something for me here because I am a huge dress wearer. I wear dresses a lot. I love wearing dresses. And these are the types of dresses that are mega wearable, that are pretty, that are easy to make, and that you're just going to reach out and wear all the time. The sizing in this pattern is available from 0 to 32, and you can see some measurements there on the screen. And there is a standard bust bodice option as always, and a full bust bodice option. So depending on the difference between your high bust and your full bust, what option you can choose to have a better fit. And I have talked about this in the past in a video a few weeks ago. If you haven't checked that out, I do talk about the difference between sewing cup sizes and bra cup sizes. In this particular pattern, because it is a knit garment, it doesn't give you specific cup sizes, but 2 options. So it's a good option to have in a knit garment and will just make the fit much better. In my case, I just used the standard bust bodice, and for this pattern my size was 14, the same size for the bodice and for the skirt. Any light to medium weight knit fabric, and I would suggest that it drapes nicely. Something too stiff is probably not going to hang that nicely on the body, and especially because the pants are not slim pants, they're sort of wider leg pants, and they just need to flow, you know. I focus on a few areas to show you in a practical way, and that is coming up next. I have made 2 dresses, and I've made both types of bodices so you can see them. And for the tank bodice, I'm showing you just a little different adaptation to the instructions for the binding here. And it's just the way to adapt to a flimsy fabric. You know, Rayon spandex is readily available to me here, and it's usually the knit type fabric I can find everywhere, you know. So I tend to want to adapt to using that for anything because it's what I can find. So when you look at these bodice pieces, if your eye is a little bit trained to look at the lengths of patterns after a while, you might find that they look sort of long. And when I did some flat measurements on the pattern, I thought, oh, this bodice looks super long. but actually it's supposed to be longer. It's not supposed to hit at the natural waist, because once it's sewn onto the pant or the skirt, then there'll be a little bit of blousing, and I'm going to show you how that looks when it's on my body, so you can see how low it looks, but then how it's going to look fine in the end. So let's hop over there. I have here the piece that will be the binding for the sleeveless tank, and I've just sewn it there so it's round. And actually the pattern piece is half the width that you can see there. It's just one piece there, and with that single layer there is how it's sewn onto the tank. And I would totally do that if I was working with heavier knit fabric, maybe like a cotton spandex, maybe just something heavier weight than rayon spandex. This is always very flimsy and very thin. So what I do to replace the technique, which is the same technique in the way it's sewn, is just to cut the thing double the width, and then I just fold it and sew it's double. And so this raw area here is what gets sewn to the arm side and then flipped into the inside. So it's the same technique, it's just that if it was heavier fabric, it would just be one little strip, so you would have two raw areas. In this case, I have folded it, and it just makes it two layers on top of each other and just more stable for binding. And I would do this with ITY as well. Any lightweight knit that is just totally flimsy, I would do it like this. After folding that band and dividing it in four, dividing the armhole into four, I have placed the band right sides together with the folded edge. This way the raw area matching the raw area of the arm side. You can see that inside the arm side is bigger, and that's normal. That's how bands are drafted, bindings, anything that you finish a knit armhole or neckline with, it's always going to be smaller, and it doesn't need to change in the length of this, whether you're sewing it as just a band like that or folding it in as a binding. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew this and then flip it in, and I'm going to try something different that I haven't done, but after hand basting that on there so that I can do it pinless, I'm going to sew with the twin needle. Okay, so here you can see it done. After sewing it and flipping it to the inside, I have like a folded edge there. In the pattern you'll have a raw area there, so you can do whatever you want with that. You can serge it or just leave it because it's not going to fray. In my case it's double there because the fabric is just too thin for the technique. So I did twin needle that, as you can see. It looks like fake cover stitching and also twin needle creates a zigzag on the other side, and it's a stitch that does stretch, it does give. In comparison to just a straight stitch that won't give at all. So I really like how this looks, and I think I'm going to be doing this more when I finish sleeveless armholes. I really like it. This is how the dress will look before putting in the elastic inside the casing, and I suppose the romper would look very similar because it's using the same bodice. You can see that the bodice length is longer than it would usually be when something's meant to hit at the waist. So if I get closer, my waist is there, a good 2 inches above what this seam line is, right? So it has to be like that. When you try it on before putting the elastic inside here, inside the casing, it's gonna look lower, and so will the hem right there. It's like sort of mid-knee there. This is the pattern without any adjustments at all. So once that's all in, the elastic is going to go to the smallest part of you, wherever that is, and this is going to blouse over a little bit, and then it's going to have the length that it's supposed to have, and this will actually end up being on the waist. For these elasticated styles, that blousing needs to happen in the front and the back. For now, it's just basically like shapeless on and it really does need that. If you choose to put a drawstring instead of elastic, you will have made buttonholes here that are marked on the pattern before doing this. I'm just gonna use elastic. Maybe you can see my basting stitches there where I've pushed all the seam allowance up and basted that on, and now I can just neatly go and top stitch, and that will create the casing inside for our leave-in opening and thread the elastic through. Here you can see the union of the bodice with the skirt. This is a knit, this is a woven. It's totally possible, and you can see that it was sewn together using 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. Then this has been pushed up towards the bodice, and I did baste that so it would be super neat. And now I'm just going to sew right on the edge there of the serged edge, and then that space in between is a casing that will allow this 1/2 inch elastic to go in there. So I'm going to start there, and then before I end up on the other side, I'm going to leave an opening, and that's where the elastic goes in and then just gets closed off. I've made it almost to the other side. I've got marked there where I had started, and I'm going to leave about an inch opening. And now, I'll remove the basting stitches of course, but then I will have an opening to put the elastic through. As I sew this waist area there, I'm just using a straight stitch. The waist is very large, there's a lot of ease there. You don't really need the area of the garment to stretch. That's why I'm not using a zigzag stitch in this bit here. This is my dress with the tank bodice, and I have used the same fabric to make the Vivace Dolman dress from Love Notions that was released around March, I believe. And I had the tiniest amount left, not good for anything, and it gives me great satisfaction to actually make a garment. So I have used this leftover fabric to make this bodice, and it fit perfect. And then for the skirt, I have just used black rayon spandex, and I think they look okay together. When I'm wearing it, it looks like I'm wearing a skirt with a top tucked in, that sort of thing. And I have left that bird there to remind me that this is the front. Now, when you have the shoulder seam there, you will notice that the front neckline is higher than the back neckline. You can see the double, you can see a V neckline there and a V neckline there. But when you're actually manipulating the garment and looking at it to put it on your body, it can be super confusing. And I know a lot of people use these cute little tags and things. I don't use that. I don't have those things. So I just made sure to have a landmark that will help me remember that this is the front. At the back, I have like a chopped up bird there, so that does not make any sense if I want to put this mistakenly towards the front. Now this neckline is wider and larger because of the double V, you know, and if I had made this a romper, I would need to get in through there, in and out, so this opening would need to stretch to fit over hips. This feature of the pattern can become a little bit problematic. So for example, if the bodice is a size 16 and the bottom is a size 20, it could be difficult to get in and out without stretching out the neckline. So this doesn't happen in my case because I made a straight size. And for science, although I did not make a romper, I did get in and out of the dress from the top because, you know, when you're testing a pattern, you need to do those things. So I definitely can get in and out through this neckline fine. It's okay. The neckband will stretch a little bit, but nothing major. My friend Kim from Dorothy's Daughter, she was also testing the pattern. She actually made rompers, so if you like rompers, go and look at hers. She's showing a really practical way to stabilize the neckline to reinforce it when the difference between the hips and the upper body is a bit larger. So I think her tip could be super practical for you if you think that your neckband might need to stretch a little bit more because of the difference between the hips and the waist and the upper body. So go and check her video out. I will link it down in the description box below. So moving down, here is the waist casing with a 1/2 inch elastic inside. It's super comfortable. You don't touch the elastic with your skin. The bodice and the skirt fit perfectly around each other. When the elastic is not in, you can see that there's quite a bit of positive ease there. And I have just hemmed with the twin needle there, nothing special with that. And it's a very, very wearable dress, and see how it looks. I've got my dress here with little kitten heels. These are the most comfortable shoes I have. I can wear these for hours and walk and walk and walk all day. And I think they look really nice with this dress, although make it look a little bit dressier, but they're very comfortable. If I wore wedges, then it would be perfect as well. But you never see me wearing sneakers with a dress. And I like how the combination here just makes it a little bit more casual, and I like the black on the bottom. And I love the fit. And it's just a very wearable dress that I love, and especially because I use this little piece of scrap that I love to get this little bodice for the tank. So I'm very happy. So you can see that the volume on the skirt is just perfect. It's not a full skirt, it's not a slim, straight, tight skirt, it's just good. With this version, you can obviously tell the difference between the bodice and the skirt. They are both Rayon spandex. This is a scrap from another project, and this is a small piece that was needed for the skirt there. Love it, it's super comfortable, and I also have a slip underneath. It's really nice, and I really like this dress. It's going to be worn a lot. In this one, I opted to leave this big bird here on this area of my chest, and I was very intentional in placing the bodice pieces on the scrap I had left. And it would also be easier for me to know that this was the front immediately. At the back, I don't have any special print, you know, put in any special way. If you look at it on a hanger, you will see that the front V neckline is a little bit higher than the one on the back. And the back one is very, very pretty. I love that. I like the arm side coverage for the tank version. It's just like I like it. It's beautiful. Nice cover here on the side. Very nice. It's not like too deep inside or too low, at least on my body. It fits very well. One particular feature that this pattern has as a possibility, maybe an official possibility, is that the bottom can be made in a woven fabric, so either the romper or the skirt. And that's because it's designed to be loose fitting. This is not a tight type jumpsuit. If you look at finished garment measurements for the pants, there's about 3.5 inches of positive ease. And that in a knit is going to be super comfortable. You know, there's no negative ease, nothing smaller than the body, even though it is a knit. If you make this in a really comfortable, flowy type fabric that is opaque, you can get away with putting, you know, woven bottoms, either pants or skirt. For the pants, that 3.5 inches of positive ease at the hips is fine for you to be able to move and live your life comfortably. In the skirt, there's a little bit more of positive ease on the hips, maybe an inch more than what the pants have. So taking all that into account, I decided to make a little black dress, and it's not the typical little black dress, it's not a fancy one, but I mixed the knit and the woven, and I love doing things like that. It's a great scrap buster. And for the bodice, I used the Dolman version. That's the Dolman sleeve right there. Super nice. It's been hemmed with 1 inch hem allowance, and when you look at the pattern, the shape here looks really sharp. I'll put a picture here to show you how it looks. I initially, when I saw that, I was like, oh, how can that work? But I was explained, and when I actually went to sew it, it was fine. It's just the way that this little area here was trued, and it has absolutely no pucker or anything there that sometimes can happen with these types of sleeves. Not in this case, because the hem was trued really nicely. And there is the same double V neckband, front and back. And now I didn't film anything about the V neckline because I have filmed a couple of videos on the channel already about how to sew V neckbands, and I have one that I filmed in January about the laundry day tee. That is a free pattern from Love Notions that you can get a code when you join the Facebook group. So I haven't filmed there. The only difference here is that I attach the V area first on one side, did the little V, sewing that, just that little small area. Then I went and did the same on the other side. Once I had both of these areas sewn, there and there, this was still dangling. I marked quarter marks on the neckband and on the neckline, matched those up where they had to be around there, stretch them out, did just the same thing. It's just that there were two V's there. So it wasn't hard to do. And if you haven't done a V neckline, you're missing out because they're super pretty and you just need to practice them a few times and you'll get good at them. You know, as everything in life, if you do them a few times over and over, every skill always improves. And this is a great pattern to practice that because you get to do 2 V neck bands on each one. Same length, the same fit. And this is the fabric I chose for the bottom. It is sheer. It is a crepe that's crinkled and has embroidery. It's black. I did a rolled hem on the serger at the bottom. I think by choosing this type of woven fabric to go on the bottom, it makes this dress a little bit dressier, not that casual as if I'd made it entirely in the knit fabric. This is Rayon spandex on the top. And because this is sheer, I have to wear a slip underneath anyway. And that sorts out my issue of having just Rayon spandex on the top in one layer. It's not my favorite thing. But I love this with red, of course. Red and black is a classic combination for me. Though this dress would match anything really because it's black. And I like having a little black dress like this that's a little bit more casual, but still a little bit dressy because of the fabric choice on the skirt. So that's how it looks here. I really like how it looks. This is not too bulky, it's very comfortable, and I just feel really great in a design like this. I've chosen woven at the bottom and I would do this again if they match. I like the matching solid, and it's an embroidered crepe and I think it's beautiful and it just makes the dress look different. It is sheer, so I have a slip underneath, and I didn't make length modifications to this skirt. The original length of the skirt was good for me. Here you can see the V neckline of this piece, so you have to sew a V neckband on the front and on the back. Really fun to do. Double the V neckband. If you haven't done them before, you can get your practice in with this type of garment. And I really like this neckline at the front and the back, and I would transfer this onto other patterns because I think it's really nice and it's flattering. You know, it's not something you see all the time. The Dolman sleeve has nice cover. It's fine. I wouldn't want it to be longer than this. This is really nice. The third garment I have to show you is unplanned. I literally just finished sewing it and I made a pair of pants using the romper pattern. But I didn't make the romper, I just got the pant pieces because the romper has to go onto a bodice that needs that ease, that vertical ease to blouse over to have that look. The pants seem to be longer than the standard, right? So the typical measurements that you would do, I needed to know how much longer this was on my body. And so I just sewed up a really quick dirty muslin in a scrap, a green scrap in woven. I made it in woven and just put it up to where I was comfortable around the crotch. I just put them there, tied an elastic around my waist and compared. I wanted to add a waistband there that was 1.5 inches tall, finished. So I needed to take that into account, have my natural waist there, have the waistband reach there, and then the pants. That meant I needed to take away 1 inch from the crotch length. And I did that by adding a line across a little above the notch of the hips, and then I just pleated and folded away 1 inch. And that meant that, you know, the pants, when I made them, they were going to be a bit lower than the original that was meant to be on a bodice, and I could go and attach a yoga waistband. I've shown you how to do yoga waistbands before. I have a video on the Allegro pants from Love Notions that shows what I like. Now in this case, I made a slightly narrower, not that tall yoga waistband, only 1.5 inches. Sometimes I make them 2 or 2.25, it just depends. But the length of the piece is usually 3 or 4 inches smaller than the natural waist measurement. The other way to add a waistband, if you don't want to do the heavy spandex type waistband, is just do a normal one with the same fabric. So maybe you can see some chalk marks there. It's the same width here, and then the length, it's on the fold there, the length is the total amount that the waist measures on the actual pants. So not what your waist measures or anything. So this waistband will just be longer and will be sewn on top of the pants, and then your elastic in there. It'll fit an elastic that's 1¼ inch wide, and I'm taking really good care of the elastic I have. I have barely any left. So that is the reason why I'm not doing it with this pant, and I'm just using that cotton spandex that I have a lot of, so I can make a lot of waistbands out of that. So either this one that doesn't need elastic because it's heavy and has a lot of spandex and recovery, or the main fabric, rayon spandex with an actual elastic inside. There is an accompanying blog post to this video, so if you want to see more details, see the pictures, more of my thoughts about construction, sewing, you can always head over there as well because it complements the video. This is a rayon spandex, but it's a black rayon spandex that has been printed on, I don't know. It's just different. Usually rayon spandex with print is white on the other side, and this is black. And because of this, it feels heavier. It feels totally different and heavier weight than the rayon spandex I used for the dresses. So I thought this was super appropriate for pants. And this is just something I determined by touching and feeling, and just, yeah, it's by feel. And they drape beautifully, and they have this print. Look, I thought it was like tropical when I bought it, but I realized it's sort of leopard print. I'm not sure. I didn't really assess it when I bought it. I just liked it that it was black and white, basically. I needed to add 2 inches to the length of the legs for my height to account, because I'm taller. And I did that at the cropped length cut line. That's where I slashed and spread and add 2 inches. And I had done a hem with a twin needle like on the rest of them. Super easy. It took me no time to make. And it's just the most comfortable pant that fits amazing and just feels amazing on, and I can feel like I'm wearing pajamas, but I'm not. Or maybe I could sleep with them too, but no, they're too nice to be used as pajamas. Here are my pants, not the romper, just the pants with the waistband, and they're so comfortable. They're your very comfy knit wider leg pant, but it's not extremely wide, and the fit around the hips is good. It's not tight, but it's not loose either. And yeah, these colors will go with everything. I've just got it paired with black now because it's easier, and super happy that this pattern can go even further if a romper is not something that you're ready to wear or try. I have a narrower yoga type waistband up here, and it's super comfortable. It's at my waist, holds everything up, no elastic required, and super comfortable. Feet at the back is relaxed. And then it just drapes over your bottom over here on the leg, and yeah, they're just very comfy pants. I didn't delve in too much about the pants fitting and the adjustments I made because I don't want to mix up the topics. You know, I have a pant fitting video pending, and that will be coming this week, probably on Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. I didn't want to go in and show you too many details because it could be a bit confusing, you know, and I just want to keep this simple. For now, the things that I've done to these pants, if you're not used to doing those adjustments, you will be when you see what I've got to show you in the Let's Sew Easy Pants series. So look out for that. I'm excited to share that series with you. This pattern is on its release week, and so it's 25% off until Sunday night through Sunday night. So if you want to try making a romper, if you already like rompers, you're gonna like this one. And if not, you know, you can make dresses, super nice dresses. And the pants are not an official version, but I sort of made it to be. You can give that a go as well. Please be welcome to ask me in the comments what you need to do to adapt your pants. I can give you a hand. I hope you found this video practical and useful for your sewing. If you did, please give it a like. And I will see you again very soon with more sewing. Bye.